30 degrees. It's going to be a scorching hot day for the drivers. They'll be competing inside the cockpit at around about 60 or 65 degrees for basically an hour of action this afternoon. But first, we got our fifth qualifying session of the season. Maro Engel continuing his fantastic start to the season, his best ever start to a DTM campaign. He leads the championship. He was quickest overall yesterday, topped the times in free practice too, and he arrives here with a 6-point championship lead after a win and a third at the Red Bull Ring, and with the success ballast that he carried in race one at Zandvoort, a very strong 6th place finish, followed by a 4th on the Sunday. Top 6 in every race so far, and it's Lucas Auer, his longtime friend outside of the DTM, his teammate, and his brand rival that is second in the championship. A perfect, well, not perfect, but a very, very strong start to the season with 3 out of 3 podiums for Lugi at the Red Bull Ring and Zandvoort, but only 13th after some contact with Nicky Tim at Zandvoort in race 2. He has been in the points in every race, though. He's on 61 points, and there's Marco Wittmann on 52 points. He's done things the hard way so far this season. He hasn't qualified particularly well this year, but he has charged through brilliantly, the former champion, the 2-time champion. He's gained 28 places across 4 races, and he's third in the championship with 2 podiums this season. 52 points for him, 46 points for Thomas Preining, a former race winner at this circuit. He had the opening season victory at Red Bull Ring, but has only been able to pick up points inside the top 10 and 13th place finish since then, with a 7th and 8th and a 13th. And he got Matteo Cairoli, 5th in the championship, one of the race winners this year, one of the 4 different race winners, with a fantastic victory in the first race at Zandvoort and his 3rd race start in the DTM in the Ferrari. He's got 43 points. And Ben Durr, a brilliant effort to get his first podium in the DTM, coming home in 2nd place at Zandvoort, promoting him up to 6th place in the championship. Kelvin van der Linde up to 7th in the championship, despite the fact we've had 4 races. He's had 2 DNFs, but a win and a 6th in the other 2. And he's the only driver so far this season that has managed to qualify in pole position more than once. He's had 2 pole positions. We've had 1 for Matteo Cairoli, and we've had 1 for Maro Engel. So yesterday, pretty hot conditions as well, very similar to what we've got already today, at around about 30 degrees, 35 degrees track temperature. Arjun Maini was quickest in the first free practice session, quickest in the test here a couple of weeks ago as well, on much cooler, slippier conditions. But the Mustang going well here, a 1 minute 20.986 for Arjun in free practice 1. Lugi Auer was 2nd quickest, Mirko Bortolotti was 3rd. All 4 of the Lamborghini Temerarios were in the top 10 in that first free practice session. Finn Wiebelhaus going well in the other Mustang as well, was 4th. The slightly quicker session was session 2. At the end of the afternoon yesterday, which, as I say, Maro Engel topped the times with a 1 minute 20.408, but was only 0.02 of a second quicker than Lugi Auer. Arjun Maini going well in that as well. He was 3rd. Spoke to him after free practice 2 yesterday, and he said, well, let's see what happens in qualifying. Let's see what the others are doing, whether they were holding back in free practice. But all I can tell you, he said, is we've pretty much maximised what we can get out of the Mustang. We're really happy with the way the car has been handling, and he's hopeful of a good result here, as will that man be. Jules Gounon, still looking for his first podium finish of 2026. Should have been on the podium with a 2nd place finish in the season opener at the Red Bull Ring, bar bad luck and a failed suspension, which put him out of the race just a few laps from home. So that's the championship situation. We're here at the Lausitzring, an anti-clockwise circuit. The venue was built 26 years ago now, in the year 2000. It's a tri-oval. It was built for IndyCar racing. When IndyCar racing came to Europe, we had the Rockingham Speedway as well in Northamptonshire in the UK, built at the same time. And the first ever DTM race here was in the year 2000. But unlike today, there was monsoon rain, and after Bernd Schneider qualified in pole, the race was canned. So the first ever DTM race had to wait until 2001, and that was won by a Mercedes by Peter Dumbreck. He took the first DTM victory here. In the GT3 era, which started in 2021 in DTM, we've had 10 races and 8 different winners. Only Sheldon van der Linde, it was a double victory in 2022. And Jack Aitken, who won in 2023 in very similar conditions to this in the Ferrari, and won again last year. They're the only drivers in the GT3 era of DTM to win here twice. Otherwise, we tend to get different race winners each time. So it's going to be a hot one. 20 minutes of qualifying to set the grid for the first race of the weekend, which gets underway this afternoon. And with the circuit being a real test, a real bumpy circuit in parts. Arjun Maini said to me last night, it's even bumpier than it was last year, having to change his racing lines around a couple of corners. It is going to be a difficult day ahead for these drivers. Their physical and mental strength and fitness will be absolutely tested to the limits. So we're here at the Lausitzring. We've got a great vantage point in the commentary box overlooking from the top of the main grandstand, which can hold 25,000 people at the start-finish line. We can see the pit lane, but also because we're so high up here, you have to get an elevator up to the top floor. We can see the whole of the circuit from here, and we can see that the cars are out in the middle sector at the moment, crawling around, ready to head back to the pits and let the heat soak from the brakes into the tyres, ready to go really full speed qualifying, probably in about 5 or 6 minutes time. My name's Chris Hartley. Welcome along to the Lausitzring, and to help talk through this qualifying session and the races this afternoon and tomorrow, it's a very warm welcome to Brian Oliver.
Good morning, Chris. Good morning, everybody. Yes, it is a very warm welcome, isn't it? The Brits, we do love talking about the weather, but again, it really is a talking point. Boy, is it hot here today. It is scorching already. It's only 9 o'clock in the morning local time, and already the temperature is sky high. We got one eye on the skies. We saw the dark clouds coming in at the end of free practice yesterday, and there are predictions of thunderstorms potentially during the middle of the day today and also later on this afternoon. The ones in the middle of the day are the ones that we're most interested in, because of course that could well coincide with the first of the 2 races this weekend in the DTM, and that would really liven things up a bit. This circuit could not be any more different to the one we were at previously in Zandvoort. As Chris has already mentioned, bumpy, low grip, sectors 1 and 2 differing quite a lot from sector 3, and sector 2 just 2 corners in that sector, very short. Sector 3 very long, and of course the cars come out of the final corner, out wide onto the tri-oval. The cars getting up close and personal with the solid concrete wall. It's really great that we use large sections of this tri-oval. Creates spectacular racing, sometimes controversial racing, and when we do get to the racing, it'll be into turn 1, that left-hander downhill pinch point where the cars have to, well, 2 abreast is about as much as you're going to get round that corner, so they have to really file down into that corner. So that's going to be exciting when we get to the racing, but of course, before all of that, it's qualifying, time to set the grid. And as we would expect, the cars having come out, done that installation lap, and now it's back into the pits and waiting for the heat to soak from the brakes through the rims of the wheels into the tyres. And in the sunshine as well, the temperature is going to be rising quite quickly in the cars and in the tyres.
It's just under 3.5 kilometres along this circuit. When we talk about sector times in qualifying, the lap's divided into 3 sectors, so we can track a lap as it goes and see comparatively how drivers are doing on their flying laps. So sector 1 obviously takes us from the start-finish line into turn 1, where they come off the tri-oval banking. They approach that at about 255 kilometres an hour, 6 gear, down to 2nd gear, hard on the brakes, just 90 kilometres an hour into turn 1, tight left-hander, and then it's bend after bend through the next section, straight into a right at turn 2, 3rd gear, 150 kilometres an hour already, straight into a left at turn 3, they drop down to about 125 kilometres an hour, and then just shortly afterwards, almost immediately into turn 4, a right, then another left, so it's left, right, and then a left again at turn 5, which again is only 90 kilometres an hour, but get a good exit there because you're back onto the tri-oval banking for a straight. On that straight, that's where sector 1 ends.
Only the McLaren stayed out for the 2nd lap. All other cars did only 1, and the Fords are waiting. They go out straight away.
Yeah, so the sector 1 ends at that back straight. Then it's on the brakes. Now, this is where I'm told it's really, really bumpy by the drivers under the braking zone. And they come off the tri-oval into the left-hander at turn 6. They go into that about 200 kilometres an hour, slow down to 80. Slowest corner on the track, a big wide hairpin. And then it's into the infield section. They go through the right, at the double right, really, at turn 7. And then onto a back straight. That's where sector 2 ends. And then, again, up to about 240 kilometres an hour, into sector 3, turn 8, a left, turn 9 and 10, right, very tight right-hander at turn 10. That's only 80 kilometres an hour as well. Then you build the speed up through turn 11, then winding up the speed as you come back onto the tri-oval, get as close as you can to the wall, and then through turn 12, you're flat out all the way to the finish line to end the lap, end sector 3. In terms of the sorts of times we're looking for, well, yesterday 1 minute 20.4 was the quickest time of the day from Maro Engel, but today they should go quicker with the lightest possible load of fuel, the best possible tyres on. They get 3 3 sets of tyres for this weekend in terms of what they can use on Saturday and Sunday. Some tracks it's 4, but this one it's only 3. And the lap record in qualifying was set here last year by Lucas Auer, a 1 minute 19.827. And Lugi has got a fantastic record here. This 10 years ago is where he got his first ever DTM race victory in 2016. He's had 4 wins since then, all together, including last year. So he won in 2016, 2017 and 2020 in the Class 1 era of DTM. He won again in 2025. He's had 2nds and 3rds here as well. He's had 5 pole positions here, including the one he got last year. And although he didn't top the headlines yesterday, Brian, he was very close in both sessions to being top of the time. Margin Miney in free practice 1 only beat him by 0.06 of a second, and that man Maro Engel in free practice 2 only beat Lugi by 0.02 of a second.
Yeah, we mentioned it yesterday. Both Maro Engel and Lucas Auer are proving to be the really consistent drivers, just consistently there picking up the points. Both of them were very much in the championship hunt last year. Of course, it all going down pretty well to the last lap for Lugi. This year, very much carrying on in that vein, and that's that consistency, just always there, always picking up the points, means they are always going to be challengers at the top of the championship. And Lucas Auer very much with some unsettled business from last year, I think it's fair to say. It was interesting to hear Jules Gounon's team radio just now, and the team mentioning the Fords. I think everyone's got an eye on the Fords because they were quickest in testing here a couple of weeks ago in altogether very different conditions, much cooler, and it was Finn Wiebelhaus in the Mustang who was quick then. And then, of course, as already mentioned yesterday, Arjun Miney with that 120.986. So the question is, were people holding back yesterday, or is there more to come?
Right, let's get an update from the pits with Verena.
All right, and I'm here with Thomas Biermeier. It's all very tight up here, but thank you for taking your time, because obviously we just want to know, talk us through what's happening now before the qualifying.
It's the normal procedure. Everybody went out for 1 lap. It's a heat cycle, what we are doing, but we're pushing some temperatures into the tires. And now everybody's getting ready for the showdown.
Yeah, we're all looking forward to the showdown. And speaking of getting some heat into things, it's going to be very hot today. So what are we expecting, especially in regards to the tires?
Yeah, it will be a hot day, not only for the tires, I think for the whole cruise. If you see the mechanics in the suits, they wear the suits nearly the whole day. So it will be a hot day, but it's same for everybody. To handle the tire will be key for race, not for now, but maybe for race. And yeah, hopefully we do it better compared to the others.
All right, fingers are crossed. Thank you so much, Thomas. Enjoy the shadow. Back to you.
Yeah, try and keep cool. Already hot. It's going to be probably about 33 degrees this afternoon. Right, the Temerarios from TGI by GRT of Mirko Bortolotti and Max Powell. At Max Powell in his home circuit here. He's from Dresden. It's only about half an hour's drive or so from the circuit, and comes here in the DTM for the first time as a factory driver for Lamborghini, having raced for it previously, mostly in DTM for his own team for Powell Motorsport, although he did get his 1 win in DTM as a Grasser driver at the Nürburgring in the rain a few years back. Those Temerarios, Brian, are much improved, aren't they? They were really struggling in the season opener, these new Lamborghinis at Red Bull Ring, but then at Zandvoort, a much better performance. 6th and an 8th place finish for Luca Engstler. He was 3rd on the grid on Sunday, and Mirko Bortolotti finishing in the top 10 despite picking up 2 5-second penalties, 1 in each race for pit stop infringements. And you also had Marco Mappelli getting up into the top 10 in the race as well. And they've been able to adjust the rear wing and increase their downforce, haven't they, which has really helped the cars? Yes,
supplementary homologation has been allowed, giving them greater adjustment of the rear wing. And just the change of the L-shaped bracket that connects to the rear wing from the pillar, a new bracket has allowed them to put more angle into the wing, more downforce from the ring wing, helps with the drivability because you push harder at corner entry, and it's more stable in the faster corners. And apparently there's about 7 kilograms of extra downforce at the rear axle just as a result of a little bracket that probably cost about €1 to make, and it makes so much difference. And also The Lamborghinis have been allowed a little bit of extra boost pressure to compensate for the speed reduction, but they had to get special permission for this supplementary homologation. But it's made such a difference, hasn't it?
Yeah, cut much more stable. They increased by 3 degrees the angle of the rear wing. Couldn't do it without adding on this L bracket, this L-shaped bracket, which is where the wing connects to the top of the bracket there. So you see on that McLaren, you can see the top of the struts connect to the direct to wing on the McLaren and the other cars. But I had to add in this little L-shaped bracket onto the Lamborghini to get that to happen. So they've gone from 5 to 8 degrees of rear wing angle. More downforce makes it slower in a straight line because there's more drag and less efficiency aerodynamically. But as Brian said, they've tweaked the BOP to allow for that. On the other scope, the Ferraris, with their new Evo package for this year, quite a few changes to the Ferrari 296, which I was struggling to get used to a little bit at the opener at Red Bull Ring, but obviously much better at Zandvoort, where they were first and third, the two Ferraris. Matteo Cairoli getting his first win, Thierry Vermeulen getting his 5th podium in the DTM and his first ever at Zandvoort. But those cars have gone the other way. They deliberately have changed the car during the winter period so that it's quicker in a straight line, has less downforce, because they felt like they were too slow in a straight line previously to compete everywhere. And so they're a little bit more nervy in the high-speed corners, but they're quicker in a straight line. And that showed yesterday through the speed traps, because through the speed traps, the quickest cars were the 2 Mustangs, followed by the 2 Ferraris. And this, Brian, is absolutely a circuit where you need high speed, because the best overtaking spots on this track are all to do with the tri-oval. On the run into turn 1, where we can see now Riccardo Feller heading, and then when they come back off the tri-oval banking, under braking into turn number 6. That's a good overtaking opportunity as well.
Yeah, not only are those 2 parts nice, long and straight, but they're also incredibly wide, and you can get a slipstream effect out of the final turn 12, out along the pit straight. And as you can see here, as we're looking down along that pit straight, great opportunities, and the low downforce setup is almost certainly going to be very, very helpful. The technical director of ML Racing, Jörg Flack, he said that the new Evo package for the Ferrari had good and bad aspects, but he said the key bit is we found a way to deal with the bad aspects. So that is a real step forward for them. So high hopes for ML Racing, and this is going to be a real test of that new Evo package here at the Lausitzring.
So we'll start to get excited about lap times when they get into the 1 minute 20s, maybe the high 120s, low 121s. But as I say, if it can go as quick as last year, although it's a lot hotter than last year, we might even be looking at 1 minute 19s here in this first qualifying session of the weekend to set the grid for race 1, round 5 of the championship. And the best qualifier on average this year has been the man who shot there in the BMW, Kelvin van der Linde, albeit he's only actually had 3 qualifying sessions, because remember, he had a problem with the car at the Red Bull Ring and didn't even get to qualify, started at the back of the grid. But out of the 3 qualifying sessions he's done, he's had 2 poles and an 11th. So he's the best qualifier on average. The next best 2 on average are Lugiauer, no surprises. Third, 4th and 8th he's had as his qualifying session so far. And Ben Durr is equal second best qualifier on average this year. He averages 5th on the grid, as does Lugiauer. He's had a 2nd, 2 5ths and an 8th. Maro Engel will be hoping that his trajectory changes, because he started the season with a pole at Red Bull Ring, then he's qualified 5th, then he qualified 8th, then he qualified 11th. So it's got worse each time for Maro, even though he's been able to fight his way through in the races. Marco Wittmann is starting to get the times down, and Luca Enxler has done the absolute best so far through the 2nd sector. And so we're looking, before we really get excited about the times, at 121s or so. They should be able to get 2 good laps out of the tyres, maybe 3. It's not as brutal on the tyres this place as the Zandvoort circuit last time out. A 122.247 then the early benchmark time. And there is Marco Wittmann, who's about to move up into the top 3 in terms of the all-time number of starts in the DTM this afternoon. He's had 214, yes, 214 race starts in the DTM, equal with Jorg van Ommen. He'll move on to 215 if he starts the race today, and that means the only drivers that have ever done more races in the DTM than Marco Wittmann are Bernd Schneider with 236 and Klaus Ludwig with 219. And he, like Maro Engel, you could argue, he's driving absolutely on top of his game, even though he's one of the, I guess, elder statesmen in the championship. As we see our first 1 minute 20, and it's from last time's pole sitter, Matteo Cairoli, 120.512.
Yeah, Marco Wittmann, he's a 2 times champion, so he knows how to do it, doesn't he? And with the already with 2 podiums this year, he's certainly up there very much as a championship challenger. Now, Nicky Tim, the next one to pull the pin. He was briefly purple in Sector 2, but that's been eclipsed by not Marco Wittmann, sorry, he's Nicola Bart, beg your pardon, but Nicky Tim, quickest in Sector 1, a personal best in Sector 2. He's coming out into the 3rd sector, out along the pit straight he will come, so this is going to launch him sky high to the top. So 119.753, so that is a great lap from Nicky Tim.
That is a great lap. Nicola Bart going well as well, so I didn't see too much in terms of dazzling times from the Astons yesterday, but he goes 3rd, Nicola Bart. So 1st and 3rd for the Belgian squad, the Come To You Racing team at the moment, with Marco Wittmann sandwiched in between them in the BMW. Plenty more to come though. Everybody out there is setting personal best sector times. You're on board then with Bastian Boos, who's had 2 4th place finishes on the road so far this season, but neither have counted when he got a penalty post race 1 for contact with Ben Durr, which dumped him down to 14th, then got disqualified at Zandvoort after finishing 4th for being underweight. So he's down the tail end of the championship. He needs to get his campaign up and running. He goes 8th quickest with that, a 1:20.4. It's only 5 thousandths of a second between the top 2 now, because Arjun Maini has gone 2nd in the Mustang with a 1:19.758. Matteo Cairoli improved as well to go 3rd. Feller improved to 4th, so Wittmann is down to 5th. And Kelvin van der Linde, you're looking at now, his first flying lap of the session goes 6th, 2.5 minutes to go.
So Nicky Tim continuing to improve as well. The best of anybody in Sector 2. Wasn't a personal best in Sector 1, but it's Sector 3, the important part. That is the long sector of the circuit. Less than 2.5 minutes remaining. So Nicky Tim looking to improve further. He was the first into the 119s. He improves even more. A 119.519. That is a scorching pace from Nicky Tim.
Arjun Maini did the absolute best first sector, a personal best through the 2nd sector, but he was 0.2 of a second down through that middle sector, so he's going to have to pull a blinder out through the final sector in the number 36 Mustang to be able to improve his time and challenge Nicky Tim, who's now 0.2 of a second up. So Arjun comes out of the last turn, about to charge over the line. Fella just ahead of him goes through, and Arjun Maini does improve on 119.534, but he's still only 2nd. The gap though is down to just 15 thousandths of a second, and Nicky Tim and Arjun Maini are nearly 4/10 quicker than the next fastest driver, who at the moment is Matteo Cairoli. I say at the moment because here comes one of last year's pole sitters, Luigi Auer. Where's he going to end up? 3rd quickest at the moment with a 119.623. So it's Tim from Maini, Auer in 3rd.
Less than 90 seconds remaining before the checkered flag comes out, and still plenty more to come. Ben Durr jumps up to P6, so good job from Ben Durr. Also Finn Wieberhaus, the other of the 4 Mustangs, briefly up into 5th place, but there are drivers improving all the time. Jules Gounon is the next to jump into the top 4, so Jules Gounon with a 119.713 in the final minute of this qualifying session. The times are continuing to improve.
Nicky Tim goes through, that's a 119.463, another fastest lap of the session. So he's got his advantage out to 0.071 seconds now over Arjun Maini. So he's had 3 quick laps out of the tyres. Can Arjun Maini do the same? He's down a little bit in the middle sector though. Again, he loses 2/10 through there. So through the twisty bits, the Mustang loses out to the Aston Martin, but we know he's quick through the final sector. Can he do enough to get pole? No, not quite. 1:19.525. It's his best lap of the session. He gets the gap down by 100th, but he's still 62 thousandths of a second behind. What about Luigi Auer? This is his final attempt realistically. He's got probably one more lap in, but I think the tyres will probably only give him this lap now. And he was down a bit in the middle sector. I don't think he's going to do it, is he? Luigi Auer comes through. No, 121.1. Jules Gounon, though, has gone up to 4th place. Marouin got up to 5th. So Mercedes 3rd, 4th and 5th. Finn Wieberhaus in 6th. Matteo Cairoli has gone to the pits in 7th. Calendar's 8th. Bart is 9th. And Ben Durr is 10th. Kelvin van der Linde is all the way back in 18th place as the checkered flag comes out, and it looks like Nicky Tim has got his 2nd career pole position in the DTM. Last time he got pole was at the Norrisring almost 2 years ago. What happened that day? He got a race win. He's 1 win in the DTM. Nicky Tim on pole position. That's the 2nd pole for the Come To You Racing squad after their fantastic end to the season at Hockenheim in 2025, where they nearly won a race, remember, with Jules Magnus, who got pole position that day. But Nicky Tim The Viking on pole position here at the Lausitzring. I'm not sure too many people saw that coming. Arjun Maini in a fantastic second place, and Lugi Auer will score a very valuable championship point. He's third, with Maro Engel, the championship leader, right behind him on the grid in fifth.
It just goes to show that what happens in free practice doesn't always carry over to quali, because Nicky Tim 2 seconds quicker than his best time yesterday in free practice, where he finished in 11th place. So saving it up for when it really mattered. So checkered flag is out, drivers now coming back in. Thomas Breining is still on a quick lap at the moment because he crossed the line before the clock struck 0, but now he comes across to receive the checkered flag. So Thomas Breining in 12th place, so a little bit further back than he would have wanted. Mirko Bortolotti, who was absolutely stone last for most of the session, managed to put in a good lap towards the end, but it's still only up to 15th. So there's some big names quite a long way back on the grid.
Yeah, absolutely. And given the BMW's got a pretty good record here, Rennie Rast was on the podium last year. Double win for Sheldon van der Linde for Schubert here in 2022. I'll be very, very disappointed indeed with that, Kelvin van der Linde. That said, there's only 9/10 of a second between the whole lot of them. Less than a second between the entire grid in that qualifying session. But with a fantastic effort, 3 mega laps, Nicky Tim on pole position. It was only realistically ever Arjun Maini that was challenging him, and it was oh so close. Arjun getting close to his second career pole position as well. But Lugi Auer there again, always there, isn't he? A point for qualifying third, and that puts him to within 5 championship points now of Maro Engel, and ahead of him on the grid. Kelvin van der Linde, remember, he's going to start all the way back in 19th, and he's got 20 kilograms of success ballast to carry in the race because he won last time out. But there's a great smile, a big broad smile for Nicky Tim with the Pirelli Pole Position Award. He starts right in the best seat in the house for race 1 this afternoon.
3 notable names: Finn Wiebelhaus in 6th place, Tom Callender in 8th, and Nicola Bart in 9th. That's great qualifying from all 3 of those as well.
Yeah, absolutely right. So Aston Martin continuing to impress in their season and a bit so far in the championship. Nicky Tim on pole position with a 1:19.463, 62 thousandths of a second ahead of Arjun Maini, who qualifies second. Then we'll have Lucas Auer and Jules Gounon on the second row. Maro Engel, the championship leader, and Finn Wiebelhaus will complete the top 6. Matteo Caroli, Tom Callender, Nicola Bart, and Ben Durr also qualifying in the top 10 for the first race of the weekend. Also to say that is a lap record, qualifying lap record for Nicky Tim, by 0.4 of a second quicker than last year's lap record by Lucas Auer. Luca Engsler will start 11th. Thomas Breining will be disappointed, I'm sure, with 12th. Thierry Vermeulen in 13th. Max Powell 14th. Mirko Bortolotti, as Brian said, in 15th place. And then Feller, Mapelli, Wittmann and van der Linde. And then the last 2 on the grid will be Boos and Glock. So, a very lively qualifying session. Let's get some reaction with Verena.
And I've got the pole setter here, Nicky Tim. Congratulations, your second pole. That's fantastic. Last time was, I think, 2 years ago at the Norrisring. So good job you did there, but you're already complaining about the heat. So it was tough, huh?
Not complaining. I'm just saying it's not Danish weather, let's say like that. But yeah, again, first pole with Aston for me, and second pole for, I feel like, 10 years. So amazing. Really love this track, and yeah, so far we're struggling, but overnight we've done a lot of work on the car with the boys and the engineers. So yeah, big smile obviously, but now the big job comes. There's only half of the duty.
But you did a fantastic duty there. Fantastic job. So see you later. Thank you so much, and back to you.
Excellent stuff. Thanks very much, Verena. Yeah, he's had a 6th and a 7th here in 2024. Didn't have a great year last year. Arjun Maini, though, will be very happy with that. As I said, he was pleased with how they went yesterday. He wasn't sure how everybody else was going to go today, but he knew the car was in good shape, and the Mustang's going really well here, as we kind of expected. Zandvoort, just a circuit that didn't suit that long wheelbase car, and the Mustang 2nd and 6th on the grid, though, for the first race. Let's go back down to Verena.
And I've got Lugi Auer here, second in the championship, and now only 5 points behind Maro Engel in the 3rd round. So you must be happy about that result in qualifying.
Yeah, it was a challenging quali, as here, you know, it's always difficult to find a gap. So it was exciting and challenging, but very happy, and great job from the team.
Very happy, and we know you love the Lausitzring. I think you've won here 4 times, so you're going to repeat that today?
Fortunately, I don't start from P1, which is here, you know, and qualifying is here really important. But we try, we give our best.
Of course you will. Thank you so much, Lugi. Back to you.
Thanks very much. Driving fantastically this year, isn't he, Liu Giao? Already 3 podium finishes out of 4. That's the 3rd time in 5 qualifying sessions that he's been in the top 3 as well. So excellent effort to even further improve his average qualifying this year. It'll be an average, I reckon, of 4th now across the qualifying sessions. And to say that useful championship point, they all count. Bearing in mind last year, Maro Engel was 3rd in the championship, but was only 8 points behind the championship winner. These qualifying points are huge at the end of the season. So there's the updated championship standings, as I say. That 3 points putting Nicky Tim into the top 10 in the championship as well. And a very handy 2 points for Arjun Maini with his best qualifying in the Mustang so far. And, will they get a first podium for HRT Ford Racing? We'll wait and see. It's going to be a great race ahead, though. It gets underway at 1:30. From Brian Oliver and me, Chris Hartley, in the commentary box. Thanks for your company in qualifying. Let's go back down to Verena.
And starting in P2 is going to be Arjun Maini, and he's the first person today I met who says, oh, it's so hot, but I like it. So you're looking forward to the race later on?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, great qualifying for us. It's nice to be interviewed after qualifying. It shows how much progress we've made, so I can't thank HRT Ford Racing enough. And yeah, I'm just really looking forward to the race.
And your best result this year so far was 8th place. So now starting from P2, hopefully you can do a lot better today in the race.
Yeah, let's see. I mean, we have to keep in mind that the tire deck situation is very different from what we had in the past. The tire is behaving very differently on every track we've been to and also day to day compared to the test and here. So we have to see how it's going to be. But fingers crossed it works for us.
Oh, fingers are crossed. Thank you so much, Arjun. See you later. And yeah, we're looking forward to a very hot race. It's certainly going to be hot, that's for sure. Don't want to miss it. See you later. Here are the highlights. Do enjoy. See you later.